Now the Boolean compiler use pcc32 special code that recognize the compiler. Now, but if I simply type bcc32 and press enter, the computer doesn't know what bcc32 is. Now, because of this, you need to set the path. Now, you can set the path in the environment variables, that is the system variables. Now, I'll show you how to do that later, but in this case, I want to show you how to set the path manually in the command prompt. Now, you must understand why you should set the path, because you set the path because the computer doesn't recognize what is pcc32 is. Now, so what you do, you go to the C drive. That is where you install Boolean compiler. So I open Boolean folder bcc55 and all the binary files are inside the bin folder, so I'll open that. Now in Windows 7 you simply click on this bar where it shows the path. You simply click here, so it gives you the path. You copy this, you right click on this, it's already selected, so you can right click on it and select copy, and you can minimize this or you can close this window. Then you go to the command prompt and type set and type space and then type path, type equal, and then you need to type the percentage and type path, percentage again, and then type the semicolon. Now it is important you need to type this path here. After the equal you have percent path percent semicolon. Now this means you append the path we are giving here. I'll right click here and paste. Now we append this path to the system paths. So that is why we use this, because if you go to the environment variables, I'll show you here. I'll right click on the computer and go to properties, and then I go to advanced system settings here, and then I go to environment variables, and if I go here under the system variables, if you go to the path variable, you select the path variable and click on the edit button. Now you see already we have some variable values under the path variable. Now you should not remove or delete all these, or you should not override these paths. Instead of doing that, what you need to do, you need to append the new path. How you would append the new path? You type a semicolon here, because when you give in these variable values in the variable name path, under the variable name path, you separate them by using semicolons. Now you can see if I just simply go, you can see there is a semicolon right here. So that is a separate value here, and it separates this value from the previous value. So if I want to give a new value, I can simply type semicolon right at the end, and then I can paste the new path. So this is how you set the path permanently in environment variables. But we are not doing it right now, so I'll just cancel these, close this window. So I'm doing that manually from the command prompt. So I'll type set path, then %path, %, and then the actual path to the bin directory. Now, you know, in the bin directory we have the C compiler. If I show you that also, if I go to the C, open the boolean folder bin, now you can see we have an executable file called pcc32. This is the boolean compiler. Now you press enter here, and then you type bcc32 and press enter. Now it recognizes, you can see it gives you some keys. These are keys to use that you can use with the bcc32. Now if I go to the system variables again, and if I go to the path and edit, yeah, you can't see that here, but it's in the system, believe me. Right, so we set the path, so clear the screen again, and now I can compile the hello source code. Now to compile the hello.c file we created, we type bcc32 and then we type a space and then the name of the file we want to compile, that is the hello.c. Now remember, you need to first go inside the folder where you have this hello.c and then provide the bcc32 space followed by the name of the file. That is very important. And then you press the enter. Now you can see it recognizes the command and it runs, it executes the compiler. That is what it shows here, boolean C++ 5.5, and there is a warning here, call to function printf with no prototype in function. So the compiler cannot identify or recognize what is this printf is, because if it is a function you need to provide a prototype for that function, but in our code we haven't provided any prototype for the functions. Now later on when we discuss about functions, you understand what are prototype for functions. And also it gives this is the linker it used, turbo incremental link. That is the linker the compiler used. And there is a fatal error, unable to open file. That's the object file. Now, what is the problem here? The printf is a function, but we have not specified a prototype for this. Now actually the printf is a function that is used to output something to the screen, and it is belongs to the input output system, C has a standard library. It's a collection of functions and files that provides a lot of features to the language. Now, if you use this printf function in this code, you need to tell from where this printf comes, in which the printf is specified properly. Now that is why we use the include statement. We call this is a pre-processive directive statement, because this statement is executed before compiler compile the code. Now the pre-processive directive statement, this particular preprocessor directive statement, we use include. And within angular brackets we type stdio and type .h and close the angular bracket. Now this is called a directive. Now what we are doing here, we are including a header file called stdio. Now stdio is a header file that is in C library. Now if you go to the boolean and if you go to the include folder in the boolean, you can find there is a header. Now all these are header files. You can see the file extension is .h. So if you go to the bottom of this stdio, there is a file called stdio. You can see that. That's the header file. Now stdio header file use to control input and outputs. Now this particular header file controls the input and output, basic input and the standard input and output operations in C. Now if you right click on this file and if you open this in Notepad++, edit with Notepad++, now you can see it is a header file, and it's the runtime library, a part of the runtime library, and you can see some directives written, defined, and if you go here you can see some codes. So if I search print f, fine, next you can see the printf is here. That's the function. Next. So actually the printf function is specified in this stdioh file. Now that is why you need to include it to your code, because otherwise the compiler gives this error. It says it cannot recognize what is printf is. So if the printf is defined in the header file, you need to include that header file in your C program. That is why we type this include statement. So it is called pre-processive directive statement because before the compiler compiles this, it includes this file to your program. So now we save the file and we go to the command prompt, and this time I can press the up arrow key to get the previous